Hi, my name is Bam. Welcome back, or welcome to my channel, I guess. So, I may or may not have taken a pretty extended break after my last video, which, to be totally honest with you, was not intended. I'm gonna go on a bit of a tangent, so if you're new and you're just here for what the title of this video is, you can skip ahead. I'll try and chapter it so you can find it. If you have been waiting for me for upwards of 9 months, this update is for you. So, last year, I had fully intended to be a lot more active on like my socials and stuff than I ended up being. Last year was genuinely probably my most like chronically offline year in terms of being on social media. Like, I still watched a lot of YouTube, but I just didn't do anything. Like, I wasn't really on Instagram. I didn't post on YouTube, evidently. I didn't even do that much reading. I read 4 books last year, and 2 of them were in December. If that tells you anything about how that went. If you did follow me on Instagram, then you know of one of the books that I read last year, which was my first Olivia Blake book that I wasn't a big fan of. But this year, I'm hoping to get back into things. So I have plans for this. I have plans for a different channel that I'm planning to do, but that also takes a lot of filming effort. And yeah, I just kind of want to get back into the roots of like book content and stuff, because nothing interesting is happening in my life. Literally after I filmed the last video that I posted on this channel, I left my job, I went to Amsterdam for a week, and then I started a new job, and that's pretty much all I've been doing. I went to a concert at the tail end of last year, but genuinely otherwise, I've pretty much just been working. I'm earning a salary now, which is great because it means I can save so I can move out. And I get the luxury of doing that because I can live at home for as long as I want and just put away a good chunk of my paycheck. Anyway, I thought, I don't really feel like sitting down and doing a whole update video because there's really not that much to update you on, other than I just didn't feel like filming anything last year. Like, I tried to do an update video a couple of times, but it was just like, I wasn't vibing with it, and then I just didn't end up doing anything with anything that I filmed. I am filming this on my phone because I couldn't get the lighting to look right on my camera, and it just looks better on my phone at the moment. So here's hoping this will make me actually clear off my phone, because I have had photos on here since May. Yeah, so now on to the actual crux of this video, of which I'm reading 6 of Crows. So this isn't my first book of the year. I've read 2 books already, Monsoon Rising and Howl's Moving Castle, which I'll probably talk more about in the wrap-up that I plan to do at the end of the month. But for the time being, 6 of Crows is my 3rd book of this year. This vlog is very much for my friend who bought me this book 4 years ago and has been waiting for me to read it ever since. So, love you. You definitely won't watch this, but I love you anyway. I'll tell you all about it when I've finished reading it. I don't really know what kind of breaks we'll go for, but I think we're just gonna do check-ins. I'm not gonna do too much artsy bullshit. We're just gonna talk about it, all right? I'm working from home today because my legs don't work, and I still walk to work. So I'm on my lunch break now, hence why I'm filming this, and I will be taking that down later because that's been here. It's like the 8th of January and I need to take that down. So yeah, 6 of Crows. I don't really have any expectations other than this is genuinely one of my friend's favourite books. I own this and Crooked Kingdom, so I'm probably going to read them back to back. Whether this takes me the rest of January to read, I don't know. I'm also currently reading A New Dawn on my Kindle, which is a Star Wars book about my favourite Star Wars couple. But this is the focus of this vlog specifically, because what better way to make my channel come back than reading a book that 1 million people have read and loved and I have never read in my life. I have no expectations. I don't know what I'm getting into with this. I just know that I want to like it because my friend loves it and I want to be able to talk to her about it. So, 6 of Crows. Here we go. Hello, my love. As we can see, it's darker. We have friends. There he is. So I'm just doing this update now because I didn't when I finished work, but I read chapter 1 on my lunch break and I'm very intrigued. Immediate thoughts, I'm sort of very much hoping that I don't have to have read I think it's Shadow and Bone, to understand what's going on, because I haven't, and I won't. Other immediate thoughts, I'm very intrigued. Immediately, I'm very intrigued. There was, this vlog is going to be full of spoilers. I feel like I should really preface that, but I feel like if you're watching this, you've read this and just want to see what other people think. So, yeah. There's some, like, weird experiments going on. The Grisha, I assume, are people that have, like, magical abilities, basically. And some weird stuff is going on. The first POV character was called Juiced, which is an interesting name. I quite liked him, just sort of on the immediate get-go. I don't think he's going to appear again, at least not for a while. Because I don't recognize his name from anybody talking about this ever. I think the next one is Inej, which I do know. I do know her name. So I'm interested to get going, like, properly. I feel like the first chapter was very much a prologue. I understand that this is a heist book, as it says on the front. So I'm curious what the heist is. I feel like it probably starts off as something and then becomes very much to do with the drug thing that is happening. That's my general predictions from the immediate first chapter reaction. And I'm gonna read maybe a little more tonight. I think I'm gonna read chapter 2 before I go to bed. But I'll probably update you when I hit, like, halfway through part 1 or something. Whenever I feel like I need to update you, I'll update you. So let's go. Let's keep going. I'm curious. R.I.P. the tassels on my bookmark. I'm not fiddling with these. Reading through Kaz's chapter and chanting, he's 17, he's 17, he's gonna be a dick because he's 17, and hoping it gets me through his character development. Yeah. 6 of Crows is cat pillow approved. Look at him. We also have this boy, but look at him. Okay, well, we're updating. I'm giving you an update. I am on page 128, so I'm on chapter 8. I finished part 1 last night, but I didn't update because I literally went to bed immediately after, and I read like half of the first chapter of part 2 at work, and I just finished that getting home now. I'm having a good time. I had like one slow day, but that's just because I was writing more than I was reading, but otherwise I'm kind of like, I'm getting through this like a little bit faster than I expected, but still as slow as I was anticipating, just because it's like a very different vibe from what I had been reading. But I'm vibing with it. So I've met basically everyone now, like the whole kind of like team, because the first chapter of part 2 is in Matthias's point of view, and he introduces Wylan. So generally speaking, a very brief kind of understanding is, out of everybody so far, Nina is my least favorite and Jesper is my favorite. I've just met Wylan, but I do kind of love him. But yeah, I think at the moment, like, I don't hate any of them, but I like everyone a little bit more than I like Nina at the moment, and I'm really interested to kind of see what happens with her and like how her and Matthias's like point of views like combine and contradict, because I can't really get the gist of what actually fucking happened between them, which obviously is intentional, because I think everybody in this is like slightly unreliable, so I'm interested to see how they develop and kind of how our understanding of their relationship and their like past occurs. And I'm also really, really interested to kind of see how the bonding happens, because everybody here clearly doesn't like each other. Like, even the characters like Inej, Jesper and Kaz, who have like a dynamic and a relationship and clearly like each other to some degree, don't like each other, you know? So I'm really, really interested to see how spending so much unfiltered time together is gonna make everybody kind of develop in their relationships. Kaz is very interesting. He is kind of how I expected him. I don't know if I've said much about him previously, other than the fact that I had to mentally remind myself that he's 17 when he was a bit of a dick about Inej having feelings about something. That's kind of the only time that's really cropped up, because otherwise he's really interesting, and he's a chronic pain kind of guy. Me too. I get it. It's really nice to see some real kind of like representation for that, because it's not really like common. Like, disability is common in fantasy from like missing limbs and things like that, but I feel like stuff like chronic pain and that kind of avenue of disability isn't seen a lot. And my friend, because I was talking to her about this, my friend did tell me that Leigh Bardugo like uses a cane and kind of understands it, so I'm really like, I like it a lot. And I also, this was just such a niche thing, but I do like the way that Leigh Bardugo like described how his cane sounds. So it was just like, it's just been mentioned a couple of times, but it's very much been like thumping sounds rather than anything like clicking, which very much gives me the impression, even before I've seen him use it as a weapon, that it is like this really heavy sort of wooden blunt object that is used to hit people instead of a more kind of lightweight like metal thing like kind of we use as mobility aids now, which can still definitely be used as a weapon, but not nearly as well as like a solid rod of wood. So yeah, like I said, I'm on chapter 8, which is Jesper. So first POV and my so far favorite. I'm interested to see where this goes, and I'm really enjoying it so far. I'm having a good time. So I'll update you again either when something really interesting happens or I finish part 2. So I'm literally like 2 lines away from doing a part 2 update, but I needed to share this line that Jesper said because it made me laugh. Okay, I think everybody in my house has finally stopped moving. Anyway, I just finished part 2 of 6 of Crows. You can't see the title because it's dark. Literally the exact same angle as yesterday, and the same time of day, because I was at work and I spent pretty much the past, like, I got home, what, 4 hours ago? Spent all that time reading. Slowly, I started reading the start of part 2 at work, I think. So I finished the entire part today, and I'm filming this literally like 2 seconds after I filmed that last little bit, which, like, the whole ghost conversation at the end of the last chapter was really amusing. I thought it was really sweet, and at the same time it was kind of one of those conversations where I was like, yeah, they're all like 15 to 17, they're kids, which I think if I was younger I wouldn't feel that way, but I am 23. They're children, and I think it's hard to remember that sometimes when you read the situations that they're in and the things that they do, and then you have situations like Inej during the whole, like, ambush and everything that kind of happens with her, and the way that she's kind of described by everybody else when she's kind of out of it and injured, and you're like, that's a kid, that's a child. I want to give them all hugs. I think Wylan especially kind of is really obvious in that, because obviously he's the most, like, inexperienced of the group. And yeah, I'm having a really good time, like, sort of getting everybody's dynamics down and meeting everybody, like, properly. So we have the kind of the whole crew proper now. In general, so far, Wylan's my favourite, followed very, very closely by Jesper. I really like both of those characters, and weirdly, I quite like Matthias as well. Like, I like everybody, obviously, but I'm really, like, I think I'm just really intrigued by Matthias's chapters just because of what we know of him, and kind of I'm really curious in terms of reading how he is viewing the world, and I just find his chapters really interesting to read, if that makes sense. Whereas, like, Wylan and Jesper, they're just really fun. I really like their characters just in general, and I like the dynamic that they have established with each other already, as well as Jesper's dynamic with, like, Kaz and Inej and everything. Generally, I don't know if I've said this already, probably slightly controversial, I think my least favourite character, if I had to say I had one, would be Nina. It's not that I don't like her, I find her really interesting as well, especially, like, her dynamic with Matthias, which I think I have said, but I think I've found that I like her more when I'm seeing her from other people's perspectives, but I find her point of view chapters kind of slow, which makes them, for me, a little bit more difficult to read in comparison to everybody else's. Like, her internal monologue that is being written to us it has a slower cadence to it in comparison to everybody else's, and the way that she gives us information in comparison to, say, how Inej or Kaz do, which are both also really interesting perspectives. So I think, like, I like Nina as a character, but I like her more when I'm not in her head. If that makes any sort of sense. And then since the last couple of chapters, with everything going on with the ambush and Inej getting her, I have to say that Kaz and Inej have the same vibes as Lucy and Lockwood from Lockwood & Co. That could be the books or the TV show, whichever one you've seen, they have the same vibes to me. They are the same, they're like similar people in very different fonts, but they have the same, like, energy and the same sort of dynamic, where it's like I kind of can see where this is gonna go and how this is gonna develop, and I'm really excited about it. So yeah, that's my part 2 update. Not a very long one, because not loads happened in this part. There's a fly on my computer. But we're definitely getting into the meat of it now. This is how far I am through. Anybody who doesn't like cracked spines, look away. But yeah, this is kind of what I've got left. So I'm on page 199, so we're almost to page 200 of this almost 500 page book. So almost halfway through, we're getting there. So yeah, I will either catch up with you when something has happened or at part 3. They're bonding. Yes! I'm going to jump off a bridge. Kaz, just tell her how you feel. I'm begging you. Just tell her you care. Cat content just for you. There he is. Hello. I nearly forgot to film this because I had to spend like an hour clearing off my phone because I haven't done it since like May of last year. So my phone is now clear for me to finish filming all the clips for this video I need. And I also, today, finished part 4. Well, got to part 4. I mean, I got to part 4. So I finished part 3, literally all of today. I just read it this morning, in between doing loads of laundry. And that's pretty much all I've done, aside from clear off my phone and make dinner. Yeah, I'm over halfway now, and interesting things are happening. We are in, oh my god, how do you, where the fuck? Never mind. We're in the country that they're supposed to be in. I can't remember the name off the top of my head now. It starts with an F and a J. But I can't find it. It's like skimming through. So there they are. Things have been happening. Wylan is still my favorite. I still love him. And he is bonding with Jesper. And I think, well, I don't think Kaz has really bonded with anybody other than the fact that I need him to actually tell Inej that he values her skills and stop being emotionally constipated. But he is 17. And that's a big ask for a 17-year-old boy. But we have a third party thing happening. So I'm really intrigued by this because it's Nina and Matthias who are both very much like on the same page with what they want to do. And I'm really curious at how this is going to play out. The other thing is that I've heard the entire plan for what is going to happen with the heist, so I'm very much preparing for that not to happen and for it to go tits up immediately. There's already other people on the hunt for this prisoner man, yeah, babyyyy, whatever his name is, but there are other parties abound, and now we have like the potential for a bit of betrayal, which seemingly wouldn't be that far off of Nina's playbill, but you know, doing what needs to be done, I suppose, for both of their people. I am a little bit afraid for Matthias because he's giving me dead man energy. Like, he's giving me the vibes that he is going to die, either in this book or maybe in the sequel if he doesn't die here, but I'm afraid for him, though I could also fully see Wylan or Jesper dying as well, so I am slightly terrified. I don't know if it's going to happen here, but I have heard of things happening in Crooked Kingdom that emotionally destroy people, so I'm a little bit terrified. So yeah, at the moment, Matthias is giving me dead man vibes. But I'm attached. It's too late. If anything happens to him, I'm going to be very sad. And we're getting more backstory for everyone. So we sort of know kind of some of the stuff that's happened to Kaz, and his brother, and how they like got screwed over basically by this like quote unquote Mercer family, but were very clearly just like there to swindle people, and I feel really bad for them because they were just kids. But obviously we've not really seen where that gets to with like Peckins and how he killed Geordie and how he killed Geordie. So I'm interested for that. I'm liking, for the most part, I'm liking the way that the flashbacks are being kind of integrated into the story. There's a couple times where it feels like they just kind of appear and then drag on forever, but for the most part they've been like really like well placed. And I'm also liking the background that we've been getting for Nina and Matthias. We haven't had too much on like Jesper and Wylan, other than obviously we know that Wylan is a runaway from his family. Really curious about that, and curious as to why, because it's sort of been made clear that his dad wants him back, but Wylan clearly left of his own volition, so I'm intrigued as to why. And we mostly just know that Jesper came from a farm. That's pretty much it. And he's gambling. He's a gambling addict. And obviously we have all of Inesha's stuff, which I found kind of like her anxiety and the way that she kind of like froze when she encountered the individual from her past, like, was really well written. And like, yeah, I'm very attached to kind of everybody at this point, and I'm really excited to kind of like find out more about them and see what happens with the heist, because I'm very much just expecting it to go completely wrong. And I want to know how they're going to adapt, how they're going to overcome, and who we're going to lose, because I feel like this is one of those things where we will lose someone. I'm scared. So I could definitely see myself finishing this, probably not between today and tomorrow, but definitely like within a couple of days. But we will see. Again, I'll check in with you when I get to part 5. And we move. Friend. There he is. Do you have any thoughts? Gang, you are in fact balancing on a glue stick, leaning against the mirror on my desk. So don't fall, please. I finished part 4, so I'm on part 5 of 6, I think. So I literally have this much left of this book. I don't know what I talked about last time, so if I repeat myself, that's just gonna get cut. But we're in prison. We are in the prison. Oh my god, I don't even know where to start. So this last part was pretty much the entire like getting into the prison bit, and now we're like in it and shit's going wrong, you know, like we thought it would. We got some Kaz backstory. We got like the actual like what happened, how it happened. I now understand his hatred of Mr. Pekka Rollins, who at the end of this part he has now confronted. We've seen a lot of vulnerability from Kaz in this part. He passed out, he had some anxiety, he's a germaphobe, which is so real. Me too. Every day Kaz is more like me. We also, oh my god, Jesper is a Grisha. Oh my god. I don't know if I mentioned this in previous like update parts, but I had a feeling that someone in the team was going to be a Grisha, because I was doing like the maths and I was like, by all laws of ratio, there has to be at least one more, because it can't just be Nina who has like powers in this team, like non-human powers anyway. And my first assumption that it would be was that it was going to be Wylan, just because we don't really know that much about him. We don't even know like why he ran away yet, or like what kind of disagreement he had with his dad. So initially I thought it was going to be something like that, but it being Jesper does make sense. It makes a lot of sense that it's him. I think the way that it was revealed was really well done, and I think if I ever reread this, the likelihood of me seeing little hints of it is also probably quite like there. I think it's just like his whole kind of the way that he's built, it feels very like, yeah, that's very fitting for him to be a fabricator. Nina has gotten everyone in trouble. I mean, Kaz as well. So Kaz has gone off script because Rollins is in this prison, and he ran off to go find him. So when Nina had finished her sweep and found some Grisha cells and was like, wow, this sucks, I am now more committed than ever to kill a man, she ran into loads of guards and has now, you know, she's a known escapist. So the alarms are going off. Inej is like still climbing up that chimney. She had a moment. She's very mad at Kaz, which valid. I think they need to have an argument and like relax. But yeah, so Matthias, Jesper and Wylan are all still at the bottom of that incinerator. And I hope they get out, because if anything happens to people, I'm gonna be very sad. I'm gonna be very sad. I think I already mentioned that Matthias is like, if he dies, I'm not gonna be shocked, I'm just gonna be sad. But yeah, I will be very upset if anything happens to Wylan or Jesper, because they're my boys and I love them. And I just need Kaz and Inej to like hug. I just think I need them to hug at this point. I need him to like tell her how he feels, just to establish the thing of like, I appreciate you and I love that everything you've done for me, like, thank you so much, instead of being a cold-hearted bastard. But he's a teenager, so I can't really ask him for much. I don't know what to anticipate at this point. I really don't know how they're going to get out of this situation, or like what is gonna happen. I imagine something might happen to Kaz because he is in this situation where he's not really got anywhere to go right now because he's with like Rollins. I'm a little bit stressed. I'm worried about them. And I have what, like 100 pages? More, 150. I think I've got 150 pages left of this book, and I'm like, oh, the amount of stuff I know can happen in 150 pages, and the fact that there is a sequel that I am even more frightened to read because of the things that I've heard about it. I will either check in with you when I finish part 5, like I have been as usual, or I will finish this and check in with you then. It really depends on how fast I read and if I feel like taking a break. Sorry, my thoughts have been really scattered in this one. It took me a couple days to read part 4 because I read like a really small amount one night and then like some on my break at work, and I just finished it today. Yeah, it's a whole This is unnecessarily terrifying. I'm getting mouth-washing flashbacks. All they know how to do is cause me pain. Why are they like this? Okay, I think I'm on the last chapter, so I'm gonna film myself reading it and put my headphones on so I don't think about the fact that I'm filming myself reading something after I've been screaming at it for the past like 10 minutes. I'm not gonna talk about the fact that it's Pekka's point of view and how do you get home? First of all, wait. Oh, okay, so he did, okay. I'm so normal. I'm the most normal about this book. I don't know what I was expecting the ending to be. I really don't. But it wasn't that. It was not that. What do you mean? Okay. This is gonna be like a very like succinct review, mostly, because you've got pretty much all of my thoughts through this video. I'm just going to talk about kind of everything overall and then probably end this to do Crooked Kingdom in a different video. So I have decided to give this book 4 stars purely because it just gives me the vibes of like a 4-star book. I loved it, but I've heard that like Crooked Kingdom is better, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm scared. I'm afraid. So yeah, I've given this book a 4 stars. It took me a couple of weeks to read it, which I was kind of expecting it to be a lot slower than the other books that I've read, just because the style is different. But yes, I think overall the plot of this is very like solid. I think there were certain points where we went off on like odd like flashback tangents that I think sometimes made me forget what we were doing in the first place, but otherwise like the way that they kind of build up the characters is like really well done. I love all of the characters. Wyland's last few scenes in this, I'm like, put my boy's face back first of all, but also he's so I love him. And Jesper going on the defense for Wyland against his dad like means the world to me. And I also do love that Wyland won a bet against Kaz. I really like that he's very much kind of coming into his own in this group of people that aren't really like his usual crowd, but they're becoming his usual crowd. And at the very least, like, Jesper very obviously cares about him. And I think he seems to get along with like Inej quite well, and Matthias. I'd love to see more scenes of him and Matthias together. I think just Matthias with anybody that's not Nina, really, because a lot of Matthias's scenes were surrounding Kaz and Nina, which obviously makes sense. I think the thing with all of the characters in this book, not just Matthias, is that they very much had their pair, and then like one other person that they were seen with a lot and had a lot of scenes with, but then they didn't necessarily like cross into other avenues of like interaction with other people. So I think for Jesper, he didn't interact like loads with Matthias, and he had like obviously his odd interactions with Nina. Inej, again, a lot of like Matthias and Wyland, and kind of just sort of that, but they do like, they feel like a group, and it's like I can see like the beginnings of like found family with them, but they're still sort of at a point where a lot of their dynamics are transactional, and especially like the end thing with Jesper and Kaz, and like Kaz expressing that he doesn't think he can trust Jesper anymore. It's like, that's really sad. I need someone to give Kaz I need someone to take away his trust issues, and B, I need this boy to open his mouth and just communicate for once in his godforsaken life, because Inej has been kidnapped, and if he doesn't fucking tell her he loves her when he sees her again, I might just kill him myself. This isn't even a review anymore, I'm just sort of talking out my ass, really. But yeah, it's a good book. I'm like, this is like golden age of YA, I think. I feel like I haven't read a book that is like this solid, like that's been recently published. So I need people to give me like recommendations of recently published stuff that is like as good as this. And I've got so much other shit on my shelf that I need to read, but this is so good. And the thing is that like I know it's YA, but at the same time it didn't feel like YA in the way that it was written, and like some of the things that were tackled in terms of like themes and imagery and stuff like that. It felt very like, there's some dark shit in here, which I really appreciate. I don't know how to fucking put my thoughts into words. So yes, I really like this book, and I'm terrified. I'm so scared to read Crooked Kingdom, because I will be reading it next. Nothing is going to stop me from reading it next other than my own fear. I think generally, like, my thoughts before I go into that one is I think Matthias is going to die. If any of them is going to die, it's probably Matthias. If not Nina, because obviously she had her whole... She took drugs. Gully took drugs. And now she's got fucking issues, which... Nina and Matthias, by the way, they're so sweet. Their dynamic is really nice, and I love the way that they grew back together, and they're so cute. This is ADHD in motion, by the way. I can't think straight. This is going to be a nightmare to edit. Am I going to come back and give you more succinct thoughts in the morning? No, because I don't think I'll be able to put my thoughts into words any more easily than I can now. I'm not going to read any more tonight. I need a break. I'm going to watch Iron Man probably, because I'm doing a fucking MCU rewatch because I hate myself. But fuck me, man. This was... I don't know how to think. My friend has told me that Crooked Kingdom does have more Jesper and Wyland scenes though, so I'm really excited about that. But if anything happens to either of them, I'm normal. I'm so normal. I'm so normal. Thanks for putting up with me for probably about 25 minutes, maybe longer. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video and enjoyed seeing me lose my fucking shit. Subscribe, because my Crooked Kingdom vlog will appear at some point, depending on how long it takes me to read it and film and edit. For anybody who is coming back to my channel with this, hi. Thanks for coming again. Thanks for not forgetting about me. I have an actual PC now, so I can sit and edit with an actual, like, real setup. Not that that's going to make my editing any better, but I can at least upload way longer videos without fighting with my phone storage. Yeah. Subscribe if you want to see more from me. I'm sort of aiming to get back into book content, because my life is really not moving anymore. But there'll be some life stuff thrown in if I do anything interesting. But for now, we're getting back to book content. It's almost the end of January, and obviously this is my third book. But I haven't talked about the other two books that I have read, so I think later in the week, if I don't finish anything, well, later in the week to see if I finish anything, like audiobooks while I'm at work, I will film a wrap-up. So you'll see me again then, at the beginning of Feb, and then however long it takes me to read Crooked Kingdom that video will come out in at least a couple of weeks, I imagine, because it shouldn't... Well, it's longer, but at the same time, I'm, like, invested now, and I have to know what the fuck is happening. So, yeah. Like, subscribe, do all that, and I will see you in the next video, whenever that may be. So, bye!